A very warm afternoon to all my dear students and welcome to the lecture of Entrepreneurship Development. This is Professor Shaurya Shah welcoming you all to my lecture. Dear students, in the last lecture we had completed majority of the part of your unit 1, that is entrepreneurship development, right? We completed all the types of modes of business organization. Then again we saw their merits, demerits in detail. We had seen in the last lecture, students, about the growth strategies. Fine, I hope you all must be clear with that part. So today we'll be continuing with the part where we left. Fine, in the last lecture. Before we start with today's part, have a quick glimpse of what we did in the last lecture, students. In the last lecture, we started with the managing growth strategies. Fine, we had seen what do you mean by growth, why growth is necessary. We had seen the entrepreneur's life cycle also, that is enterprise life cycle. We again saw the entire 5 stages in the life cycle of an enterprise. Fine, so in detail we had understood this thing. Then we started with the types of growth strategies, right? What are the types you can adopt while you are doing a business for your growth of the business, fine? In that we had seen in detail expansion, we had seen diversification in detail along with their advantages, disadvantages. So today we'll be starting with the next strategy, that is joint venture, fine? This was all the things we did in the last lecture. We had seen what do you mean by expansion, what are the various strategies which can be used for expansion, advantages, disadvantages. Then we started with the diversification, right? We had seen various examples also for diversification, the meaning of it, that is definition. We had seen various types of diversification also, horizontal, vertical, concentric and conglomerate, right? I gave you the examples for it, fine. Now next thing today we are going to start is your joint venture, students, right? Joint venture is another type of growth strategy which is the external type, right? We can divide your growth strategies into internal type and external type. Expansion we saw was your internal type, right? So all this we are seeing is your now external growth strategies. Now what do you mean by joint venture, students, right? Understanding it is very important. Again, a very common strategy which is used. We'll be seeing this with the help of examples. First of all, what do you mean by joint venture, students? Joint venture is a type of external growth strategies adopted by business firm. External, right? You have to do it externally. You don't have again a control over it in your internal organization structure. So you need to join hands with the another company which is already, or another business which is already existent in the market in order to gain the synergy, right? So what do you mean by joint venture, students? In simple terms, joint venture is a restricted or a temporary partnership between two or more firms, right? We had seen the mode, that is partnership. We had seen LLP also, right? So what is basically joint venture, students? It is a venture, new business started jointly by two or more firms for a particular purpose, right? It may be for a particular project, it may be for a particular time period, it may be for a particular consignment, or it may be for a particular objective, right? Once this objective or the project is completed, your joint venture is dissolved, right? So two companies, they are not again permanently having an existence, but they are joining their hands for a particular purpose for which they are coming, right? So in simple terms, joint venture is restricted or a temporary. Temporary is the most important thing. It is joint venture. Only difference between JV and partnership is partnership may be permanent, it may go up until dissolution, but joint venture, as soon as the objective is achieved, it may get completed. The parties who enter into an agreement are called co-venturers, right? Both the parties or many parties join their hands to for a particular purpose. They are known as co-venturers, and the joint venture agreement will come to an end on the completion of work for which it was formed, right? Generally, this venture is seen in your construction industry. In Surat also, many construction houses are joining their hands, right? One of the example for that is your Raj Green Group. It is a joint venture between Rajan's Group and your Green Group, right? That is, both are construction giants. They have joined their hand and they are constructing the projects in Surat city, fine? So all this kind of joint venture are there. We can see the more examples for it, fine? One of the very common life example you can see is of Maruti Suzuki, right? Maruti Maruti Suzuki is the joint venture between two companies, that is Maruti, that is an Indian company, automobile manufacturer, and Suzuki, that is technology and experience, right? If you can see, students, Suzuki is also present in manufacturing automobiles of your two-wheelers, but in four-wheeler company, they both are joint venture for a particular purpose of preparing the automobiles, that is your cars. Basically, they have joined their hands, right? So completely joint venture company is your Maruti Suzuki. The way of life is there. Again, we can say the slogan. I hope it is clear. Fine. So Maruti Suzuki is there. If you can see, students, in insurance companies also there are various kinds of joint ventures, right? You can see ICICI Lombard is one of the example. IFCO Tokyo is one of the example. Again, Edelweiss is one of the examples. So what do people do is they have their individual capacities. They join their hands particularly for gaining the synergy for achieving a proper objective. That is known as joint venture. Is it clear? Fine. Now moving on, students, to the main advantages of joint venture. What are the advantages? Joint venture reduces the risk involved in the business, right? As an individual, suppose you are trying to plan out a new business or trying to achieve a new objective, right? You may be having much kind of risk which is involved in the business, but when you join hands, the risk involved is divided among various partners, that is various companies. Second is it helps increase the competitive strength of the business. Definitely, individually you are having such kind of strengths, individually you are having such kind of weaknesses, right? Now when two individuals join their hands for a particular purpose, then again the competition is reduces and the strength of the business unit increases. Next is it makes possible the use of advanced technology. Definitely, once you are into joint venture, you are having much more capital fund, much more financial resources, much more technological resources. So it can be made possible to use the advanced technology. Next is joint venture provides the benefits of economies of large scale. In the last lecture also we saw the term economies of large scale, right, in expansion. What do you mean by economies of large scale, students? Economies of large scale is the benefit you achieve through your large scale production, right? So whenever joint venture comes, the capacity to produce increases. Now when you produce more up to the production capacity, your cost per unit decreases, students, right? And the profit which you are earning, you will be increasing. So again, benefits of economies of large scale is achieved in joint venture. I hope it is clear to each and every student, right? So there are four main advantages. There are many more, but this four are your main advantages, we can say, for joint venture, right? What is it? The very first is risk involved is reduced. Second, you need to just remember the key points. On the basis of that you can form your points. The very first is reduces the risk involved in the business. The second is it increases the competitive strength of the business. The third, it is possible to use advanced technology. And the fourth, benefits of economies of scale, right? I hope it is clear to each and every student. Fine. Now the disadvantages, right? It suffers mainly from three disadvantages, students. What is it? We'll see. In case of lack of proper understanding between the co-venturers, the function of the business is adversely affected, right? Many a times it happens that both the co-venturers are not having the mutual understanding, or the understanding between them is not functioning properly. So it may lead to conflicts, it may affect the business adversely. Next is excessive legal restrictions on foreign investment limits the joining hands with the foreign firm, right? In India particularly, if we see, there are various restrictions on your foreign collaborations, maybe it foreign direct investment, maybe FIIs, right? Maybe again you can say merger and acquisition of the foreign companies. So excessive legal restrictions on foreign investment limit joining hands with the foreign firm. So you have to locally join your hands with the other companies. That may limit the benefits of the JV. Sometimes more equity participation by one or more co-venturers creates conflicts between them, right? Many a times it happens that one joint venturer, that is co-venturer, may invest more, second may invest less, right? So in that cases, again, equity participation may lead to conflicts between them. I hope it is clear. So the very first is lack of proper understanding leads to affect the business adversely. The second is excessive legal restrictions on foreign investment. And the third is more equity participation by one venturer, conflicts between them. I hope it is clear, right? So I hope you must be clear with the four advantages and the three disadvantages. Have a quick glimpse over it. I'll give you 5 seconds. Just see the 4 points. Hope it is done. Just see the disadvantages, students, also. Okay, I suppose now you all must be clear with joint venture also. So far students, we have done expansion, we have done diversification, and we have done joint venture. Fine. The next is your mergers and acquisitions, right? Again, one of the external growth strategy you are having in your business. What do you mean by mergers and acquisitions? You can see it again in the economy. Fine, we'll be starting. Now there are two terms, students: merger and acquisition. What do you mean by that? We'll see. The very first is merger. What do you mean by merger, students? Merger means a combination of two or more existing enterprises into one, right? Suppose there are two companies, one is A, second is B. What they do, A Limited is merged into B Limited, and both the companies again loses their existence and AB Limited is formed, right? So what is it? It is means a combination of two or more existing enterprises into one. They are joining their hands, particularly a kind of joint venture, but it is for a longer period of time, right? For the enterprises which acquires another is known as acquisition. For the enterprise which is acquired, it is called merger. Fine. Many a times it happens that one company acquires the another company. You may take the example of Jaguar and Land Rover, right? They were acquired by Tata company, right? So all these things. Then you have classic example of Idea and Vodafone. It is merger, right? Because two companies have merged to become one. Thus, merger and acquisition are two sides of the same coins, right? But the post-liberalization since 1991 has witnessed an increasing use of takeover technologies as the means of rapid growth, right? You can take classic example of Reliance Industries Limited. Reliance Industries Limited every year take overs the smaller companies which are again ancillary industries or which are subsidiary to their product, right? So what they are doing, they are in the growth strategy, quickly growing their company with the help of taking over and again acquiring the smaller companies present in the market, so that they can increase their strength and they can cover the market share. Fine. I hope everyone clear with mergers and acquisition. This all are your examples of the recent mergers and acquisitions which are there, particularly in India, right? As you can see, the very first among that is Idea Vodafone. Since 2 years, Idea and Vodafone have joined their hands. They have merged in order to cover the telecom sector in India. Next is Zomato acquired Uber Eats, right? Now here, as you can see, both the companies are having their individual identities, that is merger. Here Zomato and Uber Eats are again acquired, so that is together is better is their again slogan given by this Zomato. So now you can see Uber Eats is nowhere present, right? Because it is completely acquired by Zomato in the food delivery application. Next is your Walmart plus Flipkart, right? Again, if you must be aware, students, you must have seen few years back, that is 2-3 years back, again Walmart acquired the majority of the shareholders of the Flipkart. So now Flipkart is a subsidiary of the Walmart, right? So it is also again an example of your acquisition. Flipkart earlier, before this acquisition, Flipkart acquired eBay India also. eBay is also one of the, again we can say, was one of the e-commerce platform used for particularly your delivering of your products at your home, right? That is related to online business. So Flipkart also acquired eBay India. I hope it is clear. You all must be clear with the examples of your mergers and acquisition. Again saying it is one of the external growth strategy, right, which is used. Two or more existing companies may enterprise into one. Again, there may be one company who acquires the another company. Hope it is clear. What are the advantages of merger, students? First of all, it provides benefits of economies of scale in terms of production and sales. Definitely, whatever benefits you are getting in joint venture, all the benefits you will be again getting in your mergers and acquisitions, right? So the very first is again economies of scale in terms of production and sales is achieved. Facilitate better use of resources. Definitely, once your production sales increases, you can better use your all the resources and you can allocate your financial, human and marketing resources in a proper way. It enables the sick enterprises to merge into the healthy ones, right? What do you mean by sick enterprise, students? Sick enterprise is a enterprise or a business or a company which is continuously incurring losses since some of the years, right? So what you can do is you can merge the loss making units into the profit making units, so that a profit making healthy unit is organized, right? One of the example for this is, you must be knowing that many of the banks, public sector banks, which are incurring losses and having a huge NPA, are merged into a stronger bank, right? Again, recent example for that is your Bank of Baroda, right? Three banks, that is Dena Bank, Vijaya Bank, and again that is your Syndicate Bank, are again merged into your Bank of Baroda. So all these public sector banks, now government is merging them and becoming a much more larger and healthier bank. Fine. So that is enable sick enterprises to merge into the healthy one. Next is promote diversification in product line to take the advantage of opportunities available in the particular business, right? Diversification we have already studied, students. Apart from your business, your product line, you are diversifying your business, entering into a new product or a new market or a new service, right? So it promotes it. Fine. I hope it is clear to each and every student. Fine. So four main advantages. The very first is your economies of large scale. Second is your better use of resources. Third is your to merge into a healthy one, that is sick units. The fourth is promote the diversification. Is it clear? Fine. Moving on to the next part, that is your disadvantages, right students? Now you are having only two type of main disadvantages for a particular merger and acquisition strategy. Again, the very first is larger the scale of operation, often it makes the coordination and the control ineffective, right? So the coordination and the control, whatever you are having on a particular enterprise individually, more the large scale production, more the sales, it will be again difficult for the entire unit to perform. Fine. Next is, sometimes mergers and acquisition lead to monopoly in a particular business. Monopoly is not welcome in the interest of the society, right? Many a times it happens that the stronger company acquires the again we can say weaker company. So you are in all reducing your competition, you are in all reducing your competitors. Fine. So that may lead to monopoly in the business, and monopoly, as you all know, has its own limitations. It is not in interest of society. Once the company becomes a monopoly in an entire market or in a product, and they start charging higher prices, and it is not in the interest of the society. I hope it is clear to each and every student. Fine. So two disadvantages you are having, and you are having four advantages, right? Again, 5 seconds, quickly have a glimpse over merger and acquisition. The meaning for that, that is the definition, then advantages, and then disadvantages. Examples of your mergers and acquisitions. You can remember Idea Vodafone, Zomato, Uber Eats, Walmart and Flipkart, Flipkart and eBay India. Next are your advantages, students. Four advantages you are having. You can only remember the key points quickly. And the disadvantages. Fine. So I suppose it is clear to each and every student. So we have completed so far four strategies. We have completed expansion, diversification, we have completed joint venture, and your mergers and acquisitions. Fine. Now the next and the last part of your managing the growth strategies is your franchising. Franchising we have already done in very much detail, students, again in our previous lectures. So just a quick glimpse over the meaning of that and example. Then we'll be moving on to the next topic. So what is franchising? Franchising is a system for selectively distributing goods or services through outlets owned by a retailer or a dealer, right? We have seen two parties. One is franchisor and the second is your franchisee, right? And franchising is the system through which franchisor provides the license, provides the facilities to the franchisee to start the business in any of the geographical location according to the conditions of the franchising agreement, so that they can expand your business, right? So again, franchising is a company. Suppose I am McDonald's, right? If I want to expand my business, I have a growth strategy of franchising also. I will give shop outlets to many of the owners across the globe, and they can start the business along with my business policies, my layout, my product quality, and I will receive money for that also, right? So I'll receive the basically the royalty and the money in the franchising agreement. Basically, a franchise is a patent for trademark license entitling the holder to market particular products or services, right, under a brand name or the trademark according to the predetermined terms and conditions. We had already discussed this in detail, so not going much in detail now. Again, the examples is your Subway, that is Starbucks coffees, Burger King is one of them, that is KFC, McDonald's, 7-Eleven, that is AirAsia, eBay. So all this first five are your food articles franchisee, which you can see each and every place present in the city, present in India also, right? I hope it is clear to each and every student. Fine. So we have completed the topic of your managing growth also, which included your growth strategies, that is types of growth strategies, and we had seen the enterprise life cycle also. I hope it is clear to each and every student. Fine. Now moving on to the second last topic of your chapter, that is your harvesting and exit strategy, right? Harvesting, there are two terms, students, right? Harvesting strategy and exit strategy. Now what do you mean by your harvesting strategy and what do you mean by your exit strategy, right? To harvest, you must be clear with the term, right? Again, plowing back in your business, and harvesting, that is again cutting the crops. The term harvest is used in your agricultural field. When your crop is ready, you cut down your crops and you again plan to manufacture, or you again plan to grow the new crops. Same thing is in business. We'll see what is it. An exit, harvest and exit, right? Cut and exit the business. So what do you mean by exit strategy, students? We'll see. Now, before starting with exit strategies, we had seen all these three. Harvest is the last of the three entrepreneurial processes, right? The very first is starting a company. We have seen the startup, policies, we have seen the modes of organization. We have completed the entire chapter for that thing. Then the second is, once your company is started, once the startup is created, you manage the growth, right? Whatever growth is achieved in the business, you start managing it and you try to increase it. Now the third and the last part of the chapter, that is entire managerial process, entire entrepreneurial process, is your harvest or exit strategies, right? Once you are saturated in the business, you try to reduce the business, or you try to exit from the business, right? So what are the strategies that we'll see? A business exit strategy is a plan for what will happen when you want to leave your business, right? So what is it, students? A business exit strategy is a plan for what will happen when you want to leave your business. Now at a time comes when, whatever may be the reason, right? There are various reasons when one tries to close down the business or one tries to sell off the business, right? It may be saturation in the market, it may be decline in sales, it may be decline in revenue, or it may be again a market which is highly volatile. So all these things, one may try to leave the business. The strategy which is created, right, for that is known as exit strategy. Now here it is worthwhile to note, students, that it does not mean to have a disaster or a failure, even imminent extent, right? So it is not such you have created a disaster or a loss is created and you are closing down the business. No, many business owners start their business with the express purpose of exiting after a certain number of years, right? You can see many promoters are there. They start the business and then they, after a certain period of time, exit from their business, right? You can take an example of WhatsApp is a classic example. The founders and the former, again we can say developers of WhatsApp, created the entire company and then they exited from it and they sold it to your Facebook, right? Same thing for your Flipkart. The promoters Sachin Bansal and Benny Bansal, right? So they started the Flipkart particularly. Now after a certain period of years, they sold it to Walmart. So exit strategies are such kind of strategies which itself are prepared for the purpose of running it for certain years and then selling it off. Now it does not mean they are less committed entrepreneurs, it just means they have a plan in other place, right? So they are trying to complete something new, they are trying to develop something new. It does not mean that they are not good entrepreneurs or less committed entrepreneurs, but they are preparing from something new, right? So now we'll be starting with the meaning of your exit strategies. What do you mean by exit strategy, student? What is an exit strategy? That is worthwhile to note. Exit strategy or harvesting strategy is the process used by entrepreneurs and investors to gain the value of business when they get out of it, right? So what is the exit strategy, or what is the strategy for harvesting? It is the strategy which they use particularly to get out of their business, right? When they are saturated, when they decide to go out of the entire business or industry, what is the strategy or the process which they will use so that they can get back their money, their capital, and they can get out of the business. Fine. From a small business point of view, a viable exit strategy is a plan that allows the owners or investors in a small business to walk away with what they want, right? So for a small business point of view, what is a viable strategy? A viable exit strategy is a plan that allows the owners or investors in a small business to walk away with what they want, right? Whatever amount they are having, whatever capital they are having, and whatever profit they expect, right? They take it and they move out of their business. So what is that? That is a exit strategy. I hope it is clear. Again, the Geo example is there, right? Geo Infocom of Reliance Industries Limited, they have now gradually started selling the shares to various foreign companies, right? So they are planning out a harvesting or an exit strategy to some extent in order to develop their business more, right? So they are using the capital, their funds, again in some other industries. I hope it is clear to each and every student. Now, what are your harvesting and exit options, right? Each and every option is to be studied in detail, right? There are mainly 7 strategy, students, that are used for harvesting and exits options. Fine. What are they? They are transferring it into a family member, known as family succession, right? We will study each and every topic in detail. Now, first of all, in brief, we will see each and every topic. Transferring it to a family member, right? Many a times it happens that the grandparents are there, parents are there, they transfer their entire business or unit to their successors, that is their son, daughter, or their grandsons, right? Again, one of the person is to be prepared who will be able to undertake the entire business to the future level, right? Tatas are one of the example of them, right? Ratan Tata is one of the, again we can say, most successful successor of the Tata and Sons Industries. So transferring it to a family member is one of the exit option. Sale to internal management or employees, known as management buyout or MBO, right? So what do you mean by management buyout or MBO? That is your management buyout, the abbreviation, right? Whenever you are ready to exit your business, students, right, it may be possible that people who already work for you, they can buy your company, or they can decide to again run your company. Fine. So that is, again we can say, sale to internal management or employees or MBO. We'll see each and every policy in detail, but just now a brief idea regarding that. Merger and acquisition. Again, just now we saw in this lecture only the what do you mean by merger and acquisition, right? So again, with the policy of merger and acquisition business strategy, again our company is either purchased by mergers, or with a company with the similar aligned goals it is acquired, right? Maybe your company may be acquired, or you try to merge your company with the business having similar goals. So that is also exit strategy or option. Selling your stake to a partner or investor, right? Suppose you are having a partnership firm. Generally we are talking about your small entrepreneurship. So generally you are having a stake in your firm, or you are investor. What you can do is you can directly sell it to the other partners, that is your solvent partners of your business, or maybe you can again take out your money by selling it to another third party, right? Depending upon the conditions of your business. Next is your IPO, that is initial public offering, right? Again, many entrepreneurs dream of one day selling their business to the public for a larger profit. Students, an IPO is an initial public offering, right? They can offer a IPO to the common public, so that public can buy their shares and they can gain money out of it. Fine. So that is IPO. Generally it is used for public limited companies. Next is your liquidation of the business, right? What do you mean by liquidation of the business? This is one of the most final step for exiting the business. Fine. If you liquidate, you will be closing your business and selling your assets. So that is known as liquidation of your business. and the next is your filing for bankruptcy, right? Again, for your small business, exit planning strategy goes, this last method is the option that you can't really plan for, because your filing for bankruptcy is not a good option for exiting, right? Because so many years you have achieved your goodwill, you have created a brand image in the market, and bankruptcy is the any undesirable thing which happens to the organization, right? So this could be the last resort. Again, it is a strategy which is adopted by many companies. You can see the example of your Anil Dhirubhai Ambani group, that is again Reliance Communication, that is again Reliance Defense Industry, that is Reliance Power, right? So they have adopted this method of filing for bankruptcy, that they don't have enough resources, financial resources, so they are trying to exit the business with the help of this resort. But it is the most undesirable resort a business enterprise can see in the life cycle of a business. Fine. So I suppose it is clear to each and every student. In the next lecture, we'll be dealing with all these 7 strategies for your harvesting and exit. Then we'll be completing the last part of the unit, students, that is corporate entrepreneurship and valuation of a newly startup, that is your valuation of a enterprise. I hope it is clear to each and every student, right? So we have completed your almost 90% of the first unit. The remaining topics will be completing in the next lecture, and then we'll be starting with the unit number 2. I hope it is clear to all the students for today's lecture. That is all from my side, dear students. This is Professor Shaurya Shah teaching you Entrepreneurship Development SY BBA Semester 3. If any queries, any doubts, you can post it in Google Classroom. We are there to help you out. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day ahead, students. Take care. See you in the next lecture.